Security dragged Black CEO off plane 10 minutes. Later, she grounded the airline itself. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. Get that woman off my plane now. The captain's voice cracked through the cabin like thunder. Every conversation stopped. Coffee cups froze mid-air. Even the hum of the engines seemed to hold its breath. Seat 14 amperes. A woman in a gray MIT hoodie stood still, boarding pass in one hand, calm in the other. Her name was Dr. Maya Ellis, though no one in that cabin knew it yet. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change. And we're glad you're here. Now, back to Maya. The captain's finger jabbed the air like a weapon. You don't belong in first class. Two officers shifted near the cockpit door, waiting for the signal. Passengers stared, some curious, some quietly afraid to say what they knew was wrong. Maya didn't move. Her expression didn't even tremble. She simply blinked once, like she'd seen this scene before, because she had. 20 years ago, at an airport in Atlanta, a gate agent had told her the same thing. You don't look like a business-class passenger. She'd smiled then, too. That day, she promised herself next time, she wouldn't just have a seat, she'd have ownership. Now, that promise was standing in row 14. Ma'am, we're asking you to leave voluntarily, the co-pilot said, tone rehearsed, cautious. I have a paid ticket, Maya replied evenly. Seat 14 amperes. Her voice was low, but it carried not like a shout, more like gravity. The captain scoffed. We've had scams like this before. He turned to the nearest flight attendant, a young woman, nervous, headset trembling. Call security. The attendant hesitated. Sir, her pass scanned green. What? I checked it myself. The captain's jaw tightened. Then check it again. Every eye was on Maya now. One man in a suit whispered, Why risk it? Just move. Another muttered, She's making a scene. But the scene was already made not by Maya, but by the accusation itself. The first officer reached for her boarding pass. Hand it over. She did steady, silent. He ripped it in half. The paper tore like a verdict. Gasps rippled through the cabin. Someone at the back lifted a phone. Another whispered, This is going online. Maya's heart didn't race. It slowed. She turned her head, eyes drifting to the window, sunlight sliding across the wing, clouds stretching like calm witnesses. She said quietly, almost to herself, You think I don't belong, but this sky doesn't take orders from you. The captain didn't hear it. But the young attendant did, and so did the passenger recording from row 15. Somewhere deep in Maya's pocket, her phone buzzed once a coded message from her assistant. Protocol Skyfire ready. Awaiting your signal. She looked up, meeting the captain's glare with a calm so precise it frightened him. If you remove me, she said softly, make sure you can still afford the fuel after. He frowned, not understanding, not yet. Outside, the sky waited wide, silent, inevitable. And in the next 10 minutes, everything on this plane was about to change. The aisle was chaos wrapped in silence. Two uniformed officers stepped forward, their radios crackling like static before a storm. Passengers leaned out of their seats, phones rising like an audience of judgment. Ma'am, we need you to step off the aircraft, one officer said. His tone was calm, too calm, the kind that hides fear behind procedure. Maya didn't move. She looked past him, toward the flight attendant who had spoken earlier, the young one with trembling hands and honest eyes. Their gazes met for half a second. A quiet alliance. I paid for my seat, Maya said evenly. If you believe otherwise, check your system. The captain barked, We already did. But he hadn't. The truth was, her name was still glowing green on the manifest, verified, time-stamped, and backed by an account that could buy every seat on this plane twice over. Row 15, a passenger whispered, This feels wrong. Row 16, someone whispered back, Then say something. But no one did. The younger flight attendant took a step forward again, heart pounding loud enough for her headset to catch the echo. Captain, please, she's not lying. He spun on her. Return to your station before I ground you permanently. Her lips parted but closed again. She pressed the record button hidden under her sleeve. The red light blinked once, like a heartbeat. Maya watched it all, the fear, the hierarchy, the way truth bent itself to uniforms. She'd seen this theater before. At 28, she'd sat in a conference room full of investors who questioned if she understood aviation economics. 2 years later, she bought their company. The captain's voice rose again, desperate for dominance. "Escort her out. Now." One officer reached for her arm. His grip was firm but hesitant, as if touching her might rewrite the story. Maya didn't resist. She simply turned her wrist slightly, enough to break contact without force. "You're making a mistake," she said softly, "and it's going to cost you more than fuel." Her phone buzzed again, protocol Skyfire active. On a monitor miles away, her assistant Rachel was already accessing the airline's live security feed. The system flagged the incident as potential discrimination escalation. Rachel's voice whispered through the AirPod. "Board monitoring initiated. Keep your tone steady." "Always do," Maya murmured. Passengers exchanged uneasy glances. An older man in seat 12 Amperes spoke up, voice trembling but clear. "If she showed ID and a boarding pass, why are you removing her?" The captain snapped. "Sir, sit down." But the man didn't. "No," he said. "Not this time." That was the first fracture, the sound of order cracking. The young flight attendant stepped forward again, her voice shaking. "She's not wrong, Captain. Her name's still in the system. You can't just erase someone because you don't like what they look like." A gasp. A single truth spoken aloud in a pressurized cabin feels louder than an engine. The captain turned scarlet. "You're done here." But this time, no one moved to help him. Even the co-pilot hesitated, his hand frozen above the intercom. Maya's calm deepened. "You can't erase me," she said. "Not from your list, not from your company, not from this sky." Her words hung in the air, not shouted, not desperate, just heavy with certainty. And for the first time, the captain's authority flickered. His hand trembled slightly as he adjusted his cap. He looked around and realized no one, not crew, not passengers, was looking at him anymore. They were looking at her. The woman in the hoodie, the calm in the storm, the one who hadn't raised her voice once, but had somehow shifted the gravity of the entire cabin. The officer's radio hissed again. "Stand by. Orders from corporate incoming." Maya exhaled slowly, eyes steady on the horizon outside the small oval window. "Good," she whispered. "Let them watch." The cabin air had changed. It wasn't just tension anymore, it was electricity. You could feel it vibrating off the seats, crawling up the walls. Someone coughed just to break the silence. Then came the click. A single sound from row 17, the unmistakable ding of a phone starting to record. The young flight attendant, her name tag read Mia Lang, stepped into the aisle. Her hands trembled, but her voice didn't. "Captain," she said, "I need to report what just happened. Her name is still active in the system. I saw the green scan myself. You ordered her removed anyway." The captain's jaw tightened. "Return to your post." "No, sir," she said louder this time. "The system logs everything. If corporate reviews this flight, they'll see exactly what you did." Gasps rippled again. Phones rose higher. The captain's face flushed crimson. "You're out of line." Mia didn't flinch. Then maybe the line's been wrong all along. For a split second, no one breathed. Even the engines seemed quieter. Maya turned, her eyes meeting Mia's. There was gratitude there, not loud, not theatrical, just something ancient and proud. "Mia," she said softly, "thank you." That moment should have ended it, but instead it lit a fuse. The captain stormed toward them, voice shaking with anger and fear. "This is a federal aircraft. You don't speak out in my cabin." Maya replied, calm as a blade. "You mistake ownership for authority, and you're running out of both." "Oh." The words hit like turbulence. Row 15, a man muttered. "She's right." Row 16, a woman whispered. "They're going too far." "And row 12, the older man from earlier?" He stood. He raised his voice. "This is wrong. She showed her ID, her ticket. You're humiliating her for what her hoodie." "Sit down," the captain barked. But the man didn't. "Not until you do your job right." The officers looked at each other. Uncertainty now. The crowd had shifted. The power was tilting. Maya stayed still, centered, as if the noise couldn't touch her. Inside, though, a flicker of memory burned Atlanta again. A hotel lobby, 2010. A manager telling her to wait outside while we confirm your card. She'd waited 2 hours. The card never failed, only the people did. And she had promised herself, never again. Back in the present, one of the officers murmured to the captain, "Sir, maybe we should double-check." The captain snapped, "Don't question me." Oh, Maya's phone buzzed in her hand. Rachel's voice came through the AirPod, crisp as steel. "Maya, confirmation. Your boarding data is still live. I've logged the captain's override request. Corporate Ethics Board is watching the feed." Maya smiled faintly. "Good. Keep it rolling." The captain froze, realizing he was no longer the only one in control of this sky. He turned to Maya, desperate, his authority crumbling like paper. "You think you can record your way into power?" he sneered. Maya's gaze didn't waver. "No, I built my way into it." Behind them, Mia stepped forward again. "Captain, I'm submitting this as an incident report," he hissed. "You're finished." She shook her head. "Not me, you." The sound of that line, steady, unshaken, drew a ripple of quiet applause from the back rows. Not loud, not defiant, just enough to remind everyone that the truth had weight again. Maya turned to the passengers and spoke for the first time to all of them. "You don't have to shout to stand your ground. You just have to stop moving when they push." The captain's radio crackled again. "Command to Flight 492, do not proceed. Executive intervention pending." He froze. Mia exhaled, tears in her eyes. The tide had turned. And for the first time that morning, the cabin wasn't just a plane anymore. It was a courtroom, and justice had just taken its seat. The hum of the engines was the only thing that dared to speak. Every face in the cabin was turned toward Maya now. Even the captain had stopped pretending he was in charge. His hand hovered near the radio, uncertain whether to call for backup or surrender. Maya lifted her phone, calm, deliberate. The AirPod caught the light like a small badge of command. "Rachel," she said softly, "confirm activation." A voice came through, steady and sharp. "Protocol Skyfire fully engaged. Legal, PR, and the board are watching in real time. Your feeds live across headquarters." The captain blinked. What did she just say?" Maya didn't answer him. She spoke for everyone else. "You wanted me off your plane," she said, "so you called security. But you didn't check who you were removing. You didn't ask why the system wouldn't let you erase my name." The first officer frowned. "Who are you?" Maya turned her head slightly, eyes fixed on him. "You'll know soon enough." Rachel's voice came again, clear through the cabin speaker now. "Dr. Maya Ellis, CEO of Ellison Aerospace Group, majority stakeholder of Horizon Air, you're live with us, ma'am." A gasp shot through the rows. Phones shook. Someone whispered, "She owns the airline." The captain went pale. "That's not possible." Maya's tone never changed. "Check your employee handbook. Page 3. He reached for his tablet, fumbling. There it was, Ellison Aerospace. Controlling partner. 62% stake. His throat went dry. "You dragged your boss off her own plane," Maya said quietly. The words weren't shouted. They didn't need to be. They landed like verdicts. Mia, the young attendant, covered her mouth, half in disbelief, half in relief. The older man in 12 amperes nodded once. A silent justice served. The captain tried to gather himself. "Dr. Ellis, I didn't—" "Didn't what?" Maya interrupted. "Didn't see me? Didn't believe a black woman could buy the sky you fly through?" Silence. It was heavier now, not out of fear but recognition. Rachel's voice came again, louder this time, piped through the overhead comm. "Captain Lewis, corporate compliance has reviewed the feed. Effective immediately. You are suspended pending investigation for discriminatory conduct." The officers near the aisle looked at each other, unsure if they should stay or apologize. Maya stood, slow, graceful, every movement controlled. "You wanted to remove me?" she said. "Now it's your turn to leave my plane." The captain swallowed hard. "You can't just—" But he stopped when his radio buzzed. "Captain, command here. Step off the aircraft. Dr. Ellis has assumed control of the flight manifest." The passengers erupted, not cheering, not chanting, just clapping. The kind that comes when justice finally breathes. Mia looked at Maya, voice shaking. "Ma'am, how did you know this would happen?" Maya gave a small smile. "Because it's happened before. Every room that doubts me becomes a room I rebuild." She turned toward the window. The clouds outside were no longer just scenery, they were witness. Then she spoke one last time, for everyone listening, on the plane and in the boardroom. "Power isn't in who speaks the loudest. It's in who stays calm when the world gets noisy. Rachel's voice confirmed, crisp as thunder. Copy that, ma'am. Flight 492 is officially grounded for ethics review. Aye. Maya exhaled slowly, a hint of quiet triumph behind her composure. The captain stepped aside, defeated. The officers followed. Mia lowered her phone, tears forming. In row 12, the older man whispered to no one in particular. She didn't just fly the plane, she changed its altitude. And as the applause spread again, not wild, but sincere, Maya Ellis sat back down in 14 amperes, calm as ever. The sky outside stretched open, endless, and this time it felt like it finally belonged to her. The storm had passed, but the air still trembled. The captain's seat was empty now, a symbol, not just a chair. The co-pilot stood near the cockpit door, pale, headset dangling like a surrender flag. Every eye in the cabin had shifted from fear to awe. Maya Ellis sat back in 14 amperes, the woman everyone had doubted 10 minutes earlier. The hoodie that once made her look wrong now looked like armor. Rachel's voice came through again, low and precise. Corporate confirms suspension. Media control in effect. Passengers' recordings are verified as authentic narrative ownership transferred to you. Maya nodded slightly. Good, let it run. She looked around the cabin at Mia, the trembling attendant who had risked her job for truth, at the older man in 12 amperes who had refused to sit down, at the passengers who had turned silence into witness. Thank you, she said quietly, for remembering how to see. Her calm didn't just fill the space, it reshaped it. The hum of the engines felt softer, like the plane itself was exhaling after holding its breath too long. Then a murmur began, one passenger clapping, then another. It wasn't loud, but it built, a wave of relief, apology, admiration. Mia wiped her eyes, smiling through disbelief. You didn't even raise your voice, she said. Maya turned to her. Why would I? Power doesn't need volume, it needs clarity. The officer who had first grabbed her arm stepped forward, eyes lowered. Ma'am, I'm sorry. We followed orders. Maya studied him, not angry, just measured. Then follow better ones next time. Rachel's voice came back through the speaker. Ma'am, headquarters requests a statement for the internal report. Would you like to record now? Maya stood slowly, adjusting her hoodie, facing the passengers as if the cabin itself had become a press room. Her tone was deliberate, every word balanced between grace and fire. What happened here wasn't just about a ticket or a seat. It was about the reflex to doubt who deserves comfort, who deserves respect. That reflex ends today not because I shouted, but because I stayed. Phones lifted again, not for scandal this time, but for history. I didn't raise my voice, she continued. I raised the standard, and that's how you change an institution, one flight at a time. Silence followed, the good kind, the kind that holds meaning instead of fear. Even the co-pilot, still standing by the door, whispered, Yes, ma'am. Maya sat back down, the authority in her stillness more powerful than any uniform. Outside the window, dawn had begun to edge over the clouds, light spilling like truth, quiet but unstoppable. Mia knelt beside her seat. Dr. Ellis, are you going to fire all of them? Maya smiled faintly. Not all, just the ones who can't learn. Mia let out a shaky laugh. Then maybe there's hope. There always is, Maya said, but only if we stop mistaking uniforms for integrity. Her phone buzzed one final time. Rachel again. Boardroom ready for debrief. Would you like me to delay press release? Maya looked out at the endless blue beyond the window. No, she said. Let them see what justice looks like in real time. The captain's hat still lay abandoned near the cockpit door, a symbol of rank stripped of meaning. Maya didn't even glance at it as the plane taxied back toward the gate under new command. When the doors opened, light poured in, not harsh, but cleansing. Passengers filed out quietly, many stopping to whisper thank you. Maya stayed until the last one left. Only then did she rise, adjusting her sleeves, walking toward the exit where corporate representatives waited, heads bowed in apology. She didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Her silence had already spoken louder than any speech. And somewhere high above, the sky, the same one that once refused her, finally seemed to bow in return. The video hit the internet before the plane even touched the gate. 17 minutes of quiet defiance, captured from 5 different angles: the captain's outburst, the flight attendant's courage, the reveal that shattered every bias on board. By the time Dr. Maya Ellis stepped off Flight 492, the clip had already reached 1 million views. No dramatic music, no edits, just a single caption that someone in row 15 had typed in trembling disbelief. They dragged her off a plane she owns. The comments flooded in like a rising tide. This gave me chills. Silent power hits different. That captain better be jobless by morning. Maya walked through the terminal quietly. No entourage, no statement. Cameras flashed, but she didn't flinch. Reporters called her name. She only said 4 words, "I'm not here angry." Behind her, corporate executives were already scrambling. The airline's social media went dark. Its CEO, not her, the public one, released a statement within an hour. Effective immediately, Flight 492's crew has been suspended pending review. We apologize unreservedly to Dr. Ellis. But apology wasn't the headline. Dignity was. News anchors replayed the footage, frame by frame, the stillness in her face, the calm precision in her voice. They called it the quiet revolution at 30,000 feet. That night, every talk show, every feed had her name. Some questioned it. Was it staged? Others defended her. This is what restraint looks like. But even skeptics couldn't deny what they saw. One woman undoing an entire hierarchy with silence. Meanwhile, in a small apartment across town, Mia Lang, the flight attendant, sat on her couch watching the replay. Her phone buzzed with messages from strangers. "Thank you for standing up." She smiled through tears, whispering, "I just did what was right." At the same moment, the captain, grounded and furious, scrolled through the same footage, realizing he'd become a symbol for something far larger than himself. His reflection in the dark screen was smaller than he remembered. Maya stayed silent through it all. She didn't tweet, didn't hold press conferences. Instead, she sent a single memo to her board. Effective tomorrow, Ellison Aerospace will assume full operational oversight of Horizon Air. New training protocols begin immediately. Empathy before authority. The memo leaked within hours. The internet exploded again, this time with praise. Number "Fly with Maya" trended worldwide. In Detroit, a teacher played the clip to her class. In Johannesburg, a journalist called it "the flight heard around the world." In Tokyo, subtitles labeled it "the day silence spoke." By dawn, Maya's inbox overflowed with messages from pilots, attendants, and passengers, some apologizing, some thanking her, many saying, "I saw myself in that cabin." She read a few, then closed her laptop and looked out the window. The sky outside was calm again, same color, same clouds, but it felt different now. Rachel's voice came softly through the phone. "It's gone global, ma'am." Maya smiled faintly. "Good. Let them learn." There was no triumph in her tone, just steady purpose. The kind that rebuilds quietly, one policy at a time. Because this was never just about a seat on a plane. It was about space, who gets to exist in it without question. And somewhere, amid a million glowing screens, one voice rose in the comments that summed it all up. She didn't just change a flight. She changed the altitude for all of us. Maya closed her eyes, breathed once, and let the world keep watching. Not for her anger, but for her calm. By sunrise the next day, the world had already chosen its headline: "The woman who grounded an airline without raising her voice." News tickers in New York ran the footage on loop. London called her the CEO who redefined power. In Lagos, a morning host simply said, "She didn't shout, she didn't fight, she just stood, and that was enough." Within 48 hours, hashtags had evolved into movements. Number "silent power." Number "dignity in action." Number "fly with respect." Celebrities reposted the clip. CEOs referenced it in speeches. Airlines scrambled to review bias response policies overnight. The footage became corporate training material, courtroom evidence, and a mirror society hadn't realized it was holding. But Maya Ellis stayed quiet. No talk shows, no victory tour. She refused interviews, choosing instead to work from her downtown office, the same one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city she'd once walked through invisible. Rachel entered that morning with a tablet full of headlines. CNN, BBC, The Guardian, Al Jazeera, everyone wants your statement. Maya shook her head. The video said enough. Rachel hesitated. "You've changed policy in 3 countries already." Maya looked out at the skyline, sunlight reflecting off glass towers. "Good. Then maybe the next woman won't have to explain her right to be seated." Across the ocean, students in Paris staged a silent march through Charles de Gaulle Airport. They carried cardboard cutouts of airline seats with words painted on them. Dignity reserved. No chanting. No megaphones. Just the sound of footsteps, thousands of them, walking for the right to be treated as equals. In Washington, lawmakers cited Flight 492 during a hearing on systemic bias in service industries. One senator read her quote aloud. "Power doesn't need volume, it needs clarity." The room fell silent. Even the captain, now suspended, watched from home as his former airline announced a new diversity initiative named after her, the Ellis Standard. He called Mia that night, voice trembling, to apologize. She didn't gloat. She just said, then learn something from it. Meanwhile, Horizon Air's stock dipped for a day, then soared higher than before. Investors called it the Ellis effect. Customers called it trust. In Nairobi, a poet wrote, "She did not fly the plane, yet she changed its direction." The poem went viral too. By the end of the week, Maya's story had crossed languages, continents, and boardrooms. She received letters from women in uniform, men in customer service, teenagers who'd seen their parents profiled at airports, all thanking her for giving them a mirror where they finally saw strength, not shame. She read each one in silence, penning just 2 words on every reply: keep going. That Friday evening, she stood on her building's rooftop, wind tugging gently at her hoodie. Below her, the city pulsed cars, lights, lives, all moving forward. Above, the sky stretched endless, open, no longer a ceiling but a promise. Rachel joined her quietly. "Do you ever get tired of fighting the same battles?" Maya smiled. "No, because every time I win one quietly, it makes noise for someone else." Far below, a billboard flickered to life, an ad for Horizon Air, redesigned overnight. It read, "Respect, safety, the Ellis Standard." Rachel exhaled, almost laughing. "You really did ground them." Maya turned toward the horizon, the same one she'd once been dragged away from, and said, "No, I taught them how to fly." The city lights shimmered like stars answering her back. And somewhere, in homes across the world, the story of Flight 492 played again, not as a scandal, but as scripture. 3 days later, the world still wouldn't stop talking, but Maya had already left the noise behind. No cameras, no security detail, just her and a rental car humming down an empty Georgia highway back toward the place where it all started. The sun was low, spilling amber light across the pine trees. Every few miles, a memory surfaced: the airport gate where she'd been told you don't look like a business traveler, the motel where she'd drafted her first business plan on napkins, the cafe that refused to serve her after midnight. Every slight had shaped her, layer by layer, into the calm armor she wore now. She pulled into a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of Atlanta. The old community center still stood there, paint faded, sign half gone. Eastbrook Youth Flight Program. It was where she'd first touched the cockpit of a training simulator, age 14, braids tucked under a borrowed cap. Inside, the air smelled of chalk and nostalgia. Old posters lined the wall: dream high, fly higher. And in the back corner, a little girl sat alone at a computer, headphones too big for her head. Maya smiled. "What are you working on?" The girl turned, startled, then shyly said, "Trying to make the plane take off." Maya crouched beside her. "May I?" She tapped a few keys, adjusted the throttle, and the simulator screen came to life, clouds rolling, engine humming. The girl's eyes widened. "It's flying!" Maya looked at her brown skin, curious eyes, the same mix of fear and fire she'd once carried. "What's your name?" "Lena." "Lena," Maya said softly, "promise me something. When someone tells you you don't belong in the sky, don't argue. Just keep flying." The girl grinned, nodding hard. "Okay. Maya stood, watching her steer the simulation into open air. For the first time in days, she felt something quiet and warm. Not pride, not victory. Peace. Her phone buzzed, breaking the silence. Rachel again. "Press requests piling up. Oprah wants a sit down. Do you want me to decline?" Maya smiled faintly. "Tell them I already gave my statement." "Which one?" "The one on the plane." She looked out the window. The evening light turned the runway outside into gold. A man approached the program's director, gray-haired, smiling in disbelief. "Dr. Ellis? We saw the video. You don't know what it meant to these kids." Maya nodded. "I used to be one of them." He hesitated. "Would you say something to the group? They look up to you." She paused, then walked to the front of the room. Dozens of young faces looked up, all shades, all dream. She didn't prepare a speech. She didn't need one. "I once thought flying was about engines and wings," she said. "But it's really about permission, the kind you give yourself when no one else will. Every room that told me no built the runway I used to take off." A hush fell over the room. The kids leaned forward, eyes bright. "Don't waste energy fighting for a seat. Build the plane." Applause, small hands, big sound. As she turned to leave, Lena called out, "Will you come back?" Maya smiled. "If you promise to keep flying." Outside, the evening sky stretched wide, streaked in gold and violet. She walked toward her car, phone silent, heart steady. The world might still see her as the woman who grounded an airline, but in that moment, she was simply a girl from Eastbrook who never stopped looking up. She opened the door, glanced once more at the horizon, and whispered half to the past, half to the future. "We didn't just change the sky, we learned to belong in it." Then she drove off, the road unfolding like a runway ahead of her, quiet, endless, free. Then her voice, calm, unmistakable. They said silence was weakness. They forgot silence is where strength gathers its breath. Clips roll in slow motion, the captain's finger pointing, the torn boarding pass, the stunned faces of passengers, and then her stillness, the calm that started a global tremor. The voice continues, layered over soft strings and the distant hum of an aircraft engine. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it waits, watches, decides. And when it moves, the world listens. The camera pans across skylines. New York, Nairobi, Seoul. Billboards reading. The Ellis Standard glow against the night. Airline crews line up for training sessions titled Empathy Before Authority. In airports, signs now read, "All passengers welcome." A small detail, but one she'd once dreamed of seeing. Maya's figure appears against a sunrise, standing on a rooftop helipad. The wind lifts her hoodie slightly. Behind her, the skyline burns with morning light. Rachel's voice plays from an old interview snippet. She doesn't build companies. She builds gravity, the kind that pulls people upward. Cut to Mia, months later, in a new uniform. She smiles into the camera. "Every time I greet a passenger, I think of her. I think this is what justice sounds like. Quiet, steady, professional." Then the screen flashes with a quote, "I didn't raise my voice. I raised the standard. Dr. Maya Ellis." It lingers. The font small, white, unwavering. The narration returns, slower now, almost a whisper. Maybe the point was never to make noise. Maybe it was to make change and let the noise follow. We see flashes of her impact. A group of young girls at Eastbrook wearing flight jackets that read "Future Captains." A classroom watching the viral clip for a social ethics course. The former captain, now giving training on bias awareness, humbled, changed. Maya's voice returns one last time. "Every injustice I face taught me the same lesson. You don't have to shout to be heard. You just have to keep standing until the truth catches up." The music swells, not triumphant, but luminous. A slow aerial shot shows a plane taking off, slicing through sunrise clouds. Its tail carries a new logo, a stylized E, wings spread wide. Text fades in, based on a true spirit. Then beneath it, smaller, subtler. Dedicated to everyone who's ever been told you don't belong. The final image freezes on Maya's reflection in the glass, her face calm, eyes fixed on the horizon. She exhales, then smiles, that same faint, unshakable smile that started it all. "I never wanted revenge, I wanted a standard." And the sky finally met it. Fade out. Silence. A silence heavy with justice, not absence. Then the credits roll slow, white letters on black. Written in dignity. Directed by calm, inspired by truth. The hum of an engine returns one last time, soft, endless, rising. And for the audience watching in their cities, bedrooms, and phones across the world, one thought remains suspended in the air. She didn't conquer the system by shouting. She rewrote it by being still.